Welcome to another show where I interview amazing guests to learn all about how you can create, grow, and deliver a premium level experience. I'm super excited today to bring on a very special guest and someone who I have been fortunate to be connected with over the last several years, Sascha. Sascha is a professional actor, two comma club award winning marketer, and a mom of four who works with her husband. She believes everyone should be able to make as much money as they want online. And that's what she supports people with through her company she and her husband own, Good. I'm really excited to be talking today with Sascha about how to attract premium level clients with authentic messaging. Not only is this something I'm super passionate about, but I'm really tired about seeing a lot of copy paste strategies and content that just sits on the shelf. I really love when people start talking a lot about their stories. And as someone who loves theater, loves being completely excited, it's always really great to have another actress slash actor here to represent. So, Sascha, thank you so much for coming on today's show and for joining me as a special speaker inside of the Premium Program Summit. I'm so excited to talk with you.
Thank you very much for the invite. I am very excited and honored to be here.
Yes. And by the way, you look lovely. If you're watching the replay or just joining here on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and all the places, I want you to just shout out Sascha because she's just looking lovely today. Drop a smiley face here because I just got to say, every time I see you, Sascha, you are just glowing. And I'm just like
I
not even
appreciate
joking. I'm
that.
not trying to just be nice. It's true. Every time I see you on camera, I'm like, the glow.
I'm very grateful for that because my own sense of perfectionism and self judgment and all of the things, like I didn't realize we were going to be on camera. So my on camera is like, I'm in a sports bra. I'm like, oh, let's put away the cleavage. Anyway, all that's to say is I very much appreciate it because I'm not in this oh yes, I'm so together today where I'm feeling it. So I like that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Maybe
So,
I'll go tonight. The kids have field day. It's like they just started. We've homeschooled and unschooled, but they started actual real life school a month ago, just in time to end the school year. So they have field day. So I was planning on putting on my makeup to go, but now since you've complimented me, I'll just go. I'll just put on my sunglasses and go. You'll save me 15 minutes. So
there
thank
you
you.
go. There you go.
Look at
Um,
that. We've optimized my life already.
there you go. Yes, and I have to also say that I don't always put on makeup every time I go out, and a lot of times when people see me in real life, they'll be like, "Wait, is that you?" Like, yes, it's me. I just don't put
Yes.
on makeup a ton, except when I'm just doing, other stuff, and sometimes I don't even on live streams. I don't put on makeup, which in a perfect world, I would have time, but with kids, you just don't always have time. So,
See, and I think that's actually a really, really important conversation, which it does bleed into authentic content and messaging and all of that. Because I feel like during 2020, when a lot of us came online or became more online, like prior to 2020, I was strategy and behind the scenes in our business.
mhm.
So when it started to be like, I had my very first brand photos for Jonathan and I done in 2020. So even sharing those was scary for me. So I would do my makeup and do everything before sales calls, before live videos. But I felt this disconnect between who I was on social and who I was in real life.
Yes.
But now here's the thing that I'm really seeing with clients, with feeling it myself, is now that real life is open, it's like you have to do a lot more to get people onto webinars. To We're competing against real life again, but that means that because real life is open, you can use real life to receive referrals. But in order to receive referrals in real life, your online and your real life have to actually make sense. So whereas the talk used to be about integrating like work life balance, now it's work life online in person. Like everything has to really be clear and cohesive. So for some people, that is being the person that's makeup every day. And then for others, it's being the person that's like, these are the different versions of me, and whatever you're going to get, it's all still me. And I'm confident in it either way.
I think too with there's this I was reading something that was talking about, how many touch points do we need now to get a sale, right? And
Mhm.
it's constantly increasing, and because people are everywhere online, they're on YouTube, they're on Facebook, and it's not like they weren't
Yeah.
before, but maybe it's just becoming more prevalent and it's having a lot more touch points, a longer customer journey, a longer buying cycle. I'm not saying that will happen for every single person. It might be that they might go through a couple of different touch points with your Instagram, take a look at your Facebook profile, or maybe just hop into your newsletter, and then, 3 or 4 emails down the line, they'll book a call with you.
Yep.
But that's not everyone. I know a lot of the times people feel really skeptical with talking to new people, especially because maybe they've been burned in the past.
Yeah.
Something they purchased online didn't really stand up to the promise that was asked for them on the sales page. And so people are really, really looking to invest in people that they know, like, and trust. And that has never changed. It's just that the way that we're connecting with people, the stories that we share, the values that we have, and the people that we talk to, they're looking to make that connection. And I know I've talked to a lot of people who are saying, well, I just want to do the webinar. I just want to do the challenge. I just want to do what's the funnel? I'm one funnel away from making this, sale,
Yeah.
and I'm like, no, what can you do to help to create conversation and help to
Yeah.
lead people into this nurturing stage of development? And again, like I said, sometimes people will hop in earlier, sometimes later, it just depends. So, with your work and with the programs that you've offered through the years, you've seen a lot of different shifts past the, 2020 pandemic, the rise and the boom, and it's a very different landscape online nowadays. So, can you tell me a little bit more about how you've really seen a shift in your own messaging to help attract other clients to come work with you inside of your programs and services?
So much has shifted. And I find that I tend to, now these days, I dance in the unpredictability of it because everything is always shifting. And I think that there was maybe this idea that, oh, things will shift and then it'll get to a point where it makes sense. But I firmly believe that whatever, it only makes sense in hindsight at this point. But the less that we fight going, well, used to work, like we can't do that at all. That's a waste of energy. Instead, it's what do I see and feel into this minute, and taking an actual, like, leaning into the feeling of it, the intuitive, because oftentimes people are so afraid of being wrong or being, if somebody else hasn't said it yet, to give them permission to say it, then they don't feel safe in following that intuitive thing, which then also leaves people towards being reliant on what do the experts say, when really we can tell ourselves. If your buyer journey has changed, you don't have to wait for somebody else to indicate it or tell you, like, it. So that's one thing for me, is leaning into what am I sensing is shifting, and just adapting, continually adapting, but more importantly, doing what feels fun and right. I will say that in 2020, we actually took down our website entirely, redirected it, because we were an agency prior. So SEO, Facebook ads, with our COVID branding, all these things. So with the COVID pivot, we that was actually causing confusion. So we removed our website entirely, and then it's been 2-3 years of really just social, just organic social. But something that I'm finding now is that, especially if we're using word of mouth, there are still the buyers. I found somebody found me from a comment I left on one of my mentors' posts. They tracked me down, they liked my stuff, and within 2 weeks they signed up with me. That's a short buyer journey. But I have somebody else that said that they've stalked me for years. So there's always going to be both ends of this. So then we ask ourselves, what is it that's going to be best? So I'm seeing a move towards sustainability. So now building in, like, by now, let's say, because so many people I know started or had a grand pivot in 2020, I like referencing 2020 to now because so much has shifted. So now we have at least some sort of idea. If not, if some things are always shifting, but we at least have an idea of what is the thing that we're niched into, more or less. What's the conversation we want to have? What's the conversation we're invited to have? So starting to create the real sustainable content around that. Because if you think about it, we've seen people that were like TikTok, and now they're like, screw TikTok,
Right, right.
all within a matter of months.
Right.
So the sustainable things, like the website, the things that we didn't need or were ignoring or could do without, Now those sustainable things that really feed into the sustainable long-term authority, and then continuing like what feels fun, what feels inspired. So my own content has shifted a lot, partly because I decided to commit to consistency. So I'm doing a reel a day for a year, and I'm on day, I think today's 81 or 82. But
Wow.
in order for that to feel fun, I had to give myself complete freedom. So I'm talking about things now that I would never have spoken about because it wouldn't have necessarily fit. But I find it's attracting new people, creating new connections, and a lot of the content that I'm giving now, it has depth to things I've been saying all along, which is what actually resonates more with people. It's not what I'm saying, it's why I'm saying it. And so now it's like I'm sharing the why of everything, and that's resonating more. It's less the surface stuff now matters less unless people are buying a strategy. And if it's a strategy, then it doesn't tend to be as premium. So for premium right now, it's all about why and how you do it differently. Not how you do it. Nobody cares like how many modules, that sort of thing, but how, like what can they expect through the that's the other thing I'm noticing I'm getting a lot of questions about is people really want to know what is it like to work with me? What is the process like? Not the
Mhm.
result, but the actual process piece. That part's interesting.
I was talking with a client and we were discussing about their premium program, and I will go into the specifics, but one of the things that we talked about was what makes you stand apart. Like, what is your unique framework? How is this different? And so one of the things that we talked about was if you're not playing the volume game, meaning that you're not trying to be the cheapest in the market, you're not trying to go to the lowest common denominator, then how will you stand apart? And so part of that I think is framework, and then I think the other part is your service and your connection. So if you're wanting to go high touch, or you can call it high ticket, I have some aversion to the word and the phrase high ticket, even though that's kind of what people use. But
Yeah.
I think it's just high touch, high support, however you want to frame it. The way that you're
Mhm.
working with people, it needs to be top notch, and to be top notch and top shelf, then we need to communicate, what does that experience look like? How does it feel? How does it resonate with you? How do you picture yourself actually on the other side of that support instead of where you're at now? And so
Mhm.
I know that some of the ways that I've been talking with people is, okay, yes, master classes are great, but how are you creating and cultivating connection? How are you deepening the conversation? And for some people, if they're wanting to go high touch, they're trying to do all this automation stuff. And I think that that's important if you're just, starting that relationship. But like you said, if somebody's been on your email list for years and they are just waiting for the right moment to work with you, then it's
Mhm.
it's more about deepening that conversation,
Mhm.
deepening that connection. And like one of my clients that recently came from me, he came from a referral, and that's someone who I've met and known for years, and we just connected at a conference in person, in real life, right? Like, I love that. I
Right?
can't wait. I'm like, I was actually gonna talk with you, Sasha, because it's funny. I'm live streaming this, but I was like, hey, you know what? I feel like one day I should meet you in real life and bring my kids over, and like they could go play, and
Yes.
because we live in the same state right now, like not even that far. So, but I think that people are really just tired of so much of people being removed from programs, and they want that deeper connection, at least the people that I want to work with. I mean, like, if you want to go for the big guru with thousands and millions of followers and you don't
Yeah.
want to really be around them, that's fine,
Mhm.
and you can be in that community. But I really love working with people in a deeper way. So um
Yeah.
talk to me, Sasha, about how you've like infused your personality, because I love reading your content and watching your videos, and you are also acting as well. I know that's part of your story. You have kids, you've got a life outside of the
Mhm.
screen. So tell me about your life. Like, how are you bridging that gap with your personal life and the business, and balancing all of these different things, to honor all the other aspects of your life, to be more you, the best version of you, whatever that looks like for you?
Right. I think it's funny. You mentioned framework, and like ours, you can see it. Can you see it? That little
I can't
thing
see it.
back on like on the background.
Okay.
I could see that made me laugh. Because frameworks are it's such a foundational thing. But I think that these sorts of like life frameworks are useful. What is it? What are the actual, I've always been very clear about values. So the big thing for me that shifted is how I, the confidence and the trust that I have to infuse everything, to trust that my audience will get it. Because the biggest thing is there's so much messaging about you can only do one thing. Actors hear this as well. It used to be as an actor, you weren't supposed to have a day job. You're supposed to pretend you don't have a day job, which is the most ridiculous thing
That
in the
is true.
entire world, but you were supposed to pretend like that. Similarly, online, it was like, well, you're only supposed to be professional. So it's like you're supposed to be a one-dimensional human to prove you have expertise. But with the internet now, and so what I found is, I mean, first off, with the internet, like if we're there's faulty data, I know, to the whole idea of 10,000 hours, but it's not unreasonable at this point that we can be experts in more than one thing, especially by your 30s or 40s. If you have grit and hard work, that's normal. So what I find is, and I find similarly that I attract a lot of these people to me, people that have tried to call themselves multi-passionate or multi-hyphenate, and it's like you're just a full person. In which
Yes.
case, what's the trust? Where is the trust that your audience will get it? Because your audience will get it, and if they don't, they're not your people. Like I will say, I know there's people that enjoy purchasing from people that only talk about one thing on social, share nothing about their personal life, which is fine if you're buying like a strategy from a person. But for me, what I've found is that what people sell and how they sell it ties into the life they've created for themselves. So if, let's say, if we're going to buy a strategy from somebody and they only talk about that strategy, it's safe to say once you buy it, there's probably going to be some degree of hustle or hard work or push that you could see from their content, that it's a push and it's a hustle on one subject. So for me, I don't buy from somebody unless I can tell the quality of their entire life, because anything I'm purchasing is a means to my goal, and my goal is to have the biggest, most fun life possible, something that inspires and empowers my own kids and people around me. So the any content that I share is a byproduct of that. So for me, it's been more about just trusting that people understand it and sharing the process, in that everything ebbs and flows. So sometimes you'll see in my content, I'm doing some sort of a physical challenge or something. Right now I'm in acting class showcases. So what is the balance? And then behind the scenes, if I'm not putting out a lot of, like, I don't have right now any workshop or master class or something coming up, but that means if I'm not promoting something, like it's everything. It's like have you seen a in a radio station or music producer how they have all the little dials?
Yes. Yeah.
Something where it's like that. That's how
Hmm.
it feels like. Sometimes like I'm dialing this one up and sometimes I'm dialing this one down. That's sort of how it feels, like how I run my life and my household, and then kind of channeling that through my content so that it's a seamless, like, okay, what you see is what you get and the whole experience matches. Like if I were on social talking all about, oh, my team this and here I am with my leisure time, then that's going to be a very expectation. Instead, I'm very much like, oh yeah, I was talking with a client, because it is informal like that,
Hmm.
because like sharing like my priorities of protecting my bottom line. That means that I don't have some large team that's go no offense to large teams, I've done that, but like that's gonna eat my revenue, because what are their priorities? What are their values? Sharing those, it tends to attract then the people that aren't gonna be shocked when they come in and they're not corresponding with an assistant or something.
I do want to bring up what you just said about it's going to they you want to purchase from people who are creating the best life possible for themselves, because that's what you want for yourself and for your family. Because I think that a lot of the times when it comes to creating this experience, and when I say like premium or whatever high touch support offer,
Yeah.
it can feel really heavy if it's all focused on move the bottom line and get the results and work harder, make more money. And the biggest shift that I've seen over the last 1 year and or more has been people with big names and big followings just dropping off and saying, I'm
Yes.
done, quit, I don't want this anymore. Yeah, and you just like your
Yeah.
face is just showing me brightness, and yes, this is true. And I think that the sustainability piece that you've been talking about is how do we build that good foundation as an authority in the industry while also honoring the lifestyle that we want to lead. And so I had a lot of the
Mhm.
times, when I built up my business like you, I had an agency and I did the freelancing thing for a while and
Mhm.
then kind of shifted into the online consulting thing. And I think that it's important for people to start seeing, okay, if you want to have the business and you want that to be the breadwinner for your family, we do need the revenue. Like that is absolutely something that you need.
Mhm.
However, if you are focused primarily and only on the revenue, not your balance, not your schedule, not your family, not your health, not your own,
Yep.
likes, interests, and desires, your life will be crap. And that is not what I want for people. I want people to have the best life possible. I want to have the best life possible. I want to have more money that I know what to do with, but I also want to have a freaking great time with my family. I want to go out there and enjoy life with the
Yep.
two kids that I have. I want to spend time with my husband. I don't want to be constantly on or feeling that, quote, I need to feed the machine in order to survive to make it to
Yeah.
the next, 8 figures or whatever that we're hustling for these
Yeah.
days. I would prefer to
Right.
have a smaller team, work with some amazing clients and really get them the results that they want while honoring the lifestyle that they want to lead and also myself. And so that's personally the value that I share. And I hope that for people who are watching or listening, that you think about that as well as you're designing your operations, the client structure, the delivery of your program, because I think it's often confused with success and mindset and mental health is an afterthought when really it should be at the forefront of how you're designing your business.
Yep. That's something interesting. Like for me, the thing that's blown my mind is I'm doing these acting class showcases, and I've done these before, but the last time I did them, I was in my 20s. And the thing that is cracking me up, and my scene partner's a year older than me, and we're comparing like, oh, how's your resting heart rate today? Like for us, because it was like a couple of nights we're driving to LA, and then but we still have all of our own responsibilities. So what I'm prioritizing most is my sleep and eating super clean, my food and my sleep. Like that's top priority. And then of course, making sure that the kids and the chores and all of these things, because self-care looks different for everyone. And I've sometimes seen people that talk about their version of self-care is almost a like a sticking a plug in a dam that's about to burst. Like we that's not how we want things, which is also why for me like watching somebody's social content, if I'm picking somebody for example, for me for a like I have no interest in hiring for strategy just because it's something that it's naturally easy for me and I've done it for so long that I want somebody who has an elevated everything. So I need to see what can I tell into sharing like I don't want somebody who does relationship because that's not to say that people that aren't in strong relationships aren't qualified or whatever, but for what I'm seeking, I that's something that I want to see somebody else doing successfully. Does that make sense?
I think you just want to see people.
Uh-oh.
Well, am I frozen?
Uh-oh. I lost sound.
Oh no. Okay. Here. I love lives. They're always so great because you're always like, oh, what can happen? It's like a real show. Are you still having a hard time hearing me? I don't know.
Hey, hang on.
Okay, all good. Okay,
Just turn off your
so
Bluetooth.
It doesn't turn
I am
off. It's on the
going to.
computer.
Oh.
Welcome
Hi.
to me.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
There you go.
Yes, I can hear you. Take them
Okay,
out of
great.
your, just put them away. You have strong AirPods. Put them away.
I got
You
connected.
because you
I saw him.
you
Yeah,
can
no,
hear
that's
on me
great.
now,
Oh, he connected.
right?
That's so funny.
I, no, it automatically. Some people have
Oh, okay. Yeah, so Sascha, I know that you have a lot of, I don't know if we're freezing.
Strong Bluetooth pods go near anything. It just sucks in a
Oh,
little bit.
okay. Earpods do connect pretty like well. I was on a plane yesterday and I was like this person tried to kept connecting and I was like no, 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 don't connect, don't connect. Um
Mhm.
so as we kind of, think about our messaging and attracting those clients, Sascha, one of the questions that I know sometimes get is how do I bridge the gap between the free content and into helping people see that I'm the best person for them? So, if you were to answer that question, obviously that's a very deep question. We can't actually answer every single part. But if you were to say,
Mhm.
what's the first thing that we would want to think about in order to help people bridge that gap between that free content into the premium content? What's the difference between actually taking that next step towards a booked call, a application, or a sale?
Mhm. So for that part, that's where I go a bit towards. So when, if we're talking about the just the ideation of the free content, because I think that's a really important part. Um, some people say make sure it's the prerequisite first step to working with you, something that would help them. Where I find most content is something that people keep requesting over and over, something that people keep requesting that I can do in my sleep. Then that's what I create as the lead magnet, is the free content. And then on a strategy piece, every piece of free content has social proof, testimonials, proof that I deliver, not just that I create free content. All of my free content are things that could be paid content. As well, all of my low paid content, uh, low paid items are things that are worth really value pack everything on the front end so that somebody could technically get a transformation from my free stuff. And if that's what they want, perfect. That's where things feel accessible and equitable for me. So tons of value on that, in that stuff. And it also has not just social proof, I'll have like my media features, everything with calls to action. And then anything that anybody opts into, like these are where the automations are. The automations aren't as much. There are some when you work with me or with Jonathan, but the automations are really in leak proofing the front end of things. So with every lead magnet, they receive a welcome sequence. And then I email. So continuing and continually creating the warm invitation to shoot us a message. And then I also do cross pollination on from email. I drive to our group. So it's just continually giving people the warm ecosystem where they're invited into something else. And sometimes they're just invited to write back. And then I create special content just for my emails. And then on my social, I'll say, I did this. I wrote 3 emails that I was super pumped about because they're a little bit out there. So I shared them on social. Like, these are the email subject titles that are going out. Um, and so, so hop on the list if you're not there. And because which thing it is that's going to cause somebody to convert. And then of course if we want to try to have somebody convert, then there's always the things like time sensitivity or any number of things. What's the but I will say that the things that don't, a big change that I make is I don't talk about our own revenue at all anymore. And I try to create what are different ways that I can create the same thing. Um, create Okay, example, I did a post yesterday. I had a number of clients, 3 of them, that were sending me glowing words, but I didn't want to share their words, so I shared my replies. Same idea, but I didn't want to. My clients would have been fine with me showing their things, but just something about it didn't feel, I just didn't want to perpetuate that. I don't know why, but instead I don't I encourage people to lean into whatever the feeling is about the thing, get underneath that and create from that. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think just like just dipping into what's helping you feel good about sharing and marketing, is that kind of like getting to the
Mhm.
core of what's underneath it.
why is it that you want to create something? Or why
Mhm.
is it that what is it that what's your goal? So for example, when people say there's some people that will train people or say that where you do your vulnerable shares,
Okay. Yeah.
which to me, but if but so instead I would say